Hey everyone, it's Astaria Sen, and I am doing a VR video response to Amethyst Ascension's uh, video on the hashtag shopping for tarot, which was originally created by Lady Knight of Avalon, and I will link Lady Knight of Avalon in the description below so you can see the original video and why she created this tarot hashtag. I really like why she created it. I own a lot of tarot decks, and I haven't ran into a lot of the stigma that others have been talking about, but um, I like collecting decks and I like having a lot of them, and I don't see anything wrong with it. Um, there are some that I prefer more than others, anyways. So I'm just going to jump in. There are 10 questions, so I'm going to try to not make this super longer than what it needs to. First question is, what was the last deck that you bought and why? So recently I purchased a used copy of the Deviant Moon Tarot. It's not my normal deck, my normal kind of deck. I really like light and airy decks, and like Shadowscapes and stuff like that, which is one of my favorites and my main deck. And I like fairy decks and just upbeat, uplifting kind of decks. But I've been looking at the Deviant Moon Tarot for a while now, and in my hometown we do tarot get-togethers, and at a local tarot shop, and she does use tarot decks, so you can use the tarot deck before you buy the tarot deck. So I thought that was interesting. Anyways, I went ahead and got it, and I'm going to show you a couple of cards from it. And the reason why I got it is because I'm starting to work on shadow work, and I thought this might be a good deck for shadow work, or for those times when you just need a little bit more of a shadowy reading, I guess, like in the dark kind of reading, like what might need to come into the light. So here's the back, which I really like, and the little moons in each corner. All right, so one of the main things that I loved about this deck for the shadow work is because the faces are like doubled. So you have the light and the dark faces on them. And they're not happy-go-lucky cards, but they do draw me in. They have this dark, I guess it's dark and delicate at the same time. And because I make dragons and stuff like that, this card really drew me in the deck. It's one of my favorite cards as well. And it's not like the whole piece is delicate or anything like that, but it has delicate features within it. And it's not too crowded or anything like that. But my favorite card in the entire deck is this one right here, Two of Pentacles. It's just a gorgeous card, and you can see, you can see the light in it, but you can see the dark aspects, like really just that mystical gypsy kind of thing going on, which I really love about tarot in general. So I just thought this would be a really good deck for me to do some of my shadow work. We'll find out though. All right, so that's the last one I bought, and that's why I bought it. The next question is, what's your decision process when you buy a new deck? Usually, like with this one, I bought it because I was looking for something specific to go with the moon and shadow work and just darker aspects. But in general, when I buy a new deck, I like watercolors, so I like looking at watercolor decks. I go through walkthroughs. If I see a deck that I might like and I can't like open the package up or feel it for myself or something like that, like if I'm buying it new, then I will look at walkthroughs or reviews, or ask friends that I know who have tarot decks if they own it and I can see it, those kind of things, because I have to resonate somehow with the images on the cards. The coloring is really important for me, and how much is on the card. Like if there's too much on it, I have a hard time reading the cards. But for the most part, I'm really interested in watercolors, and I'm really interested in fae and fantasy aspects. So that's, that's mainly what I look for. And then I do have my favorites. Um, I like Lucy Cavendish. I don't like all of her decks, but I like hers. And I like Paulina Cassidy. I like hers as well. Shadowscapes is my favorite, and it's not by neither one of those. I can't remember the name of the person who did the artwork on that, but I really like that one. Okay, what are deal breakers in a deck that keeps you from buying it? That kind of goes back to what I already said. Like, if there's too much image, like all clashing together on the card, too many colors, too much going on the card, I will not buy it. I just won't. The art is mainly the one thing that decides, and I don't like the Rider Waite traditionals. I get the aspect of traditional, I just don't buy traditional. I like fantasy. I like mystical. I like conjurings and all the magical little aspects and all the things that the tarot word brings to it. And that's part of what I love about tarot. I mean, other than the intuition and the reading and what you can get out of it, but there's a sense of fun and creativity that goes with it, and I'm a very creative person. If the cards don't tell a story, I can't buy it. And I know that the Rider Waite technically does tell a story. It's just harder for me to put my imagination into play with very bland or basic cards, if that makes any sense. I have a harder time with that. But I like the fantasy aspects, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the Rider Waite or anything like that. Like, they're good traditional decks. I'm just not a traditional deck person, like in art. Let's see. Little White Book or the Big Guidebook. I'm a big guidebook person. I prefer the big guidebooks because I like the stories behind it. I like the more in-depth descriptions, the intuition, sometimes the card spreads that are in them, stuff like that. I really like that. Do you have a new deck ritual, and how do you break in a new deck? New deck ritual, other than saging the decks, generally is what I do. Or I'll put a crystal on it, or I might set it by the moon or the sun, just depending on what my mood actually is. But I do deck interviews, and I also go through the cards individually one by one and, get to know them in a way. Have you ever been disappointed after getting a deck because it looked or felt different than expected? Yes. It was so pretty. Like, the cards themselves, when I picked up the deck and got to see it, it was so pretty. And the cards were very pretty and stuff like that, but they clung together. And anytime that happens, it immediately disappoints me because I have a harder time working with a deck that clings together, and I guess that's one of the aspects. If a deck clings together, I generally won't buy it. Like the sticky, it's the way the cardstock is made or whatever, like the covering on it. Like, this is a really slick one, but if it tends to stick to the other cards, I have a harder time with it, and I probably won't end up buying it. And if I do buy it on accident, I'll generally give it away. Have I ever been pleasantly surprised by a deck after getting it? Also goes with the same question. Yes. Actually, it's the Fairy Lights Tarot. Like, I originally got it because I kind of liked it, and it was fairy related, and I played with it once or twice and really wasn't that inspired by it. And then suddenly, this last couple weeks, I started working with it again, and it just re-inspired me and engaged me and became something that I can work with. I stopped working off the little white book that came with it and started working more on intuition, and that's what surprised me, is that it started meshing with me well. All right. Do you interview new decks? Yes, I do. Do you ever buy decks for a specific purpose, like only using it for one purpose? Yeah, like the Deviant Moon deck the Deviant Moon deck that I've bought is for specific. That one is. Most of them are not. Like, I like my fairy cards because they're fairies. I like, watercolor cards because they're pretty and they're watercolory, and I like that. But the Deviant Moon's the only one I've done actually specific. All right. Do you differentiate between decks you buy for yourself and decks you would use for other people? No, I do not. Some decks I find don't like to be used by other people, like my Shadowscapes is just my deck. But there are other decks that prefer to be used by other people and not by me. So I do have a couple of those because I go to the tarot, like the community tarot events on each week. The Then what is one thing you wish deck creators would do more of or stop doing? The sticky coating on the cards. I wish that would stop. The sticky coating on the cards is awful. Otherwise, I'm new to tarot, so I don't really have a lot of preference in that, like super new, like within this year new to tarot. So I'm still learning different things and different artists and different tarot decks and how different things work, and there's just so much out there. So maybe later I'll have more of an idea on that, but right now that's about it. So thanks for watching, and I will put the questions in the description and the tag, as well as the video for Lady Avalon's Lady Knight of Avalon's original tag video for this. All right, thanks for watching and have a great day.